Okay, everybody. In this teaching lesson, we're going to look at an example of screen scraping medical procedures and looking for the lowest cost amongst a bunch of different hospitals in a given area. Okay, now I'm going to look close to New York City. That's where I live. But with this website over here that I found online, you can look anywhere across the United States, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of information about what type of, based on the type of medical procedure that you need, right? And your insurance type, you type in your zip code. There's my zip code, 11109, and then you go over here, cardiac stent, cataract, discotomy, ear tube surgery, whatever that is. Okay, hernia. I actually had a hernia surgery. This is laparoscopic. This is the one I had about, I think this is about 2.5 years ago by now, give or take. Then the insurance, I would type in the insurance. What do I have here? Yep. Cigna, yeah, HMO, okay, that's fine. And then there's my zip, so I can go ahead and type this in. Boom, and we have what we need. Okay, so let's just do a quick search. I just want to show the functionality of how this thing works. So this shows you a bunch of hospitals all over the place. Great price is $5,500, expensive $13,000. I guess the estimate is $3,900. It shows you a nice little map over here, right, relative to the 11109 zip code. That's where I live, and there's a handful in New Jersey and a couple in New York. It looks like one in Queens, downtown New York, New Rochelle, I think, and a few others. And then let me get rid of this annoying ad popping up. The internet runs on ads, right? So let's get that out. Okay, and then you have some details here, price ranges, and the facility name, and the city. All right, so that's pretty helpful. So I was thinking, what if you go ahead and get all of these medical procedures and go ahead and create a huge encyclopedia of every possible medical procedure, right? You would have to loop through. Let me get up here. This web page is not really cooperating. You have to loop through all of these types of surgeries that we saw listed on the previous page. That's just one, right? There's one of, I don't even know how many they had, based on the insurance that you have and all these surgeries listed here. I'm guessing a few hundred, maybe. Here we go. So that is one type of surgery, and we'll get into the video in just a minute. I'm just showing you some. This is a baseline for what we're trying to do here, and some background. So CT scan, okay, and this, wow, see this. So there's so many over here. We have a couple dozen just for CT, defibrillator. Okay, that's just one. Not too bad. Some of these just have one and done, but some of these, okay, not too bad. That's one. Yeah, some of these aren't too bad, but some of them have multiple children, right? If you call this first, oh, there's a bunch of kids, right? So if you call this first column the parent, that would be the type of the surgery, and then the specific sub definition of the, not the surgery, of the medical procedure. There's all kinds of MRIs over here, right? It looks like probably 12, 13, 14, something like that. So quite a few combinations of things, right? So I thought, what if we go ahead and create a loop and go through every possible combination listed on their website, right? And we can get all the medical costs based on your relative zip code, right? So that's what this code is doing. If I go back here into my Python Jupyter Notebook, you'll see the parent-child relationships. I just described that. We have to create a looping procedure, error catching and handling, because some of these web pages are going to load slow. They might time out. They might even not have information. They might not have any information relevant, right? That could cause an error to pop up and the code will crash. We have to handle that delicately, right? Otherwise, we're going to have an abrupt crash and the whole process is going to start. We want to be mindful of that and handle that gracefully, right? Refreshing web links, that's important too. Some of these web links are stale. You actually have to refresh it to get the results you want. And then there could be debugging processes, there's iterative improvements, process improvements, and so on and so forth, right? So we have the website. We know what the task is here. We have to loop through all these items and go ahead and import that into a pretty massive behemoth of a data frame, and then we'll have everything from that website in the universe, basically. So there's the medical procedures, the city, and then the price range, right? So how are we going to achieve this task? We have Selenium. That is a fantastic tool for interacting with web browsers. It allows you to click on the browser, interact with it, scroll up, scroll down, navigate through pages, click on links, extract the data from the link, and so on and so forth, right? So that's how we're going to handle this task, right? We have a couple data types right here. These are lists. I'm going to create a class list and a table data list, and I'm going to append information into those lists. So if you look at the view all button, wait until it's called EC element. That is the element that we're looking for in that HTML group of elements, right? So it's going to look like this, toggle pager. And if I go over here and go view button, okay, view button, let me go back here. I'll show you what this looks like. I talked about this in some of my other screen scraping videos, so I probably won't go into extreme detail again in this one. But if you go ahead and right click on this button over here, where's my mouse? It just disappeared. Come on, mouse. Okay, there we are. And right click on this drop down item, right? Let me click on that and see if we can find the code behind this. Okay. If I go down to inspect, this is the last option here right in the list. Hit inspect and let me see where it takes us. Okay, this is going to be the HTML behind the page. So this is how all the data is rendered and presented to us on the page. Okay, if we go over here, we have inputs. Yes, so if we put the mouse over it, you see that blue box. It looks like a sky blue box. It's highlighting the input class. So this is called div class input append, and the ID is procedure type select desktop. So every HTML element has a unique ID. That's how you identify it. And once you have this ID, you can go ahead and start parsing out the relevant information from that. So if I copy this, let me go copy outer, copy down here, outer. This is going to be a little bit easier to read, I think. Copy outer element. Yep, outer HTML. That's it. So let me go over here, copy that. I'm going to put that into a nice little text box over here. Okay, window, open. Come on, you can do it. I know it. There we go. Slow as molasses. We'll get there. And then put this in notebook. Okay. Copied it. Let me, of course, that goes on the other screen. It doesn't really do what you want it to do, does it? Okay, so let me put that over here. Okay. And paste. Come on, too far. Cooperate. Paste it. Okay, so this is going to have all the relevant HTML for that ID. What was the ID called? It is procedure select procedure type select desktop. So that's what we're going to focus on to get all of the data from this drop-down menu, right? I don't know what all those data points are, but we can go ahead and get that from the HTML itself. It has to be rendered either in the HTML or dynamically through some kind of JavaScript call. So that is what the Python code is going to do. If I go back over here and I can close this, okay, that's fine. So we're looking for this class right here, class toggle pager, and any kind of XPath, we're going to get the body and TD element. Okay, so a lot of these things are TR element or TD element. These TD elements are basically lists. It's basically columns and rows. That's how it's represented. So a lot of times if you see some kind of matrix online or some kind of column and row layout for data, it's usually TR or TD elements. And then we're going to extract from that the procedure type, facility name, city, and then the price range. Those are the 4 data points that we want to extract right from the HTML. And if there's a problem with this, we are going to print the error and just say, or accept. This is the accept, right? So we're going to try to do all this. We're going to handle this gracefully with an accept clause down here. And if we can't run the try, we're just going to say table data not found, but keep going. Okay, we want to print the error. The error is going to be encoded as an E. Okay, we want to print the details of the error. And as long as there's no error, we're going to grab the data and just keep moving along. I haven't seen too many errors, but we just like to put some error handling in there to handle these things gracefully so the code doesn't crash and shut down for you, and then the whole process is just going to grind to a halt, right? You're not going to get anything. So I kicked this off and started running it just before I turned on the recorder for the video here. So let's see where we are with things. This is CT and analogy, right? And it just disappeared. Can't even tell. Oh, angiography. Okay. Angiography. Okay. So it's actually running right now. You can see I'm not doing anything. My fingers are off the keyboard. It's off the mouse. It's going through and interactively screen scraping all the data from this web page, right? Element by element, TR by TR, TD by TD, and HTML piece by HTML piece, right? So it's getting all the prices, the area, the price ranges, and then the medical procedure name, right? Let's give it a few moments and make sure it advances to the next one. There it goes all by itself. So it's running, this is called automation, right? So once you set this up and debug it and test it and execute it, you can screen scrape all this stuff pretty quickly and easily. So if a person had to go in here and do this, it would take, I don't even know how long, probably the better part of one day, maybe longer. Maybe it would take a couple of days. I'm not even sure. I'm not about to do it, so I don't have that kind of patience. But once we set up the code and screen scrape it, it's actually pretty quick. Maybe it'll take 15, 20 minutes, maybe even half an hour. I'm not sure, but the computer won't make a mistake, right? If a person goes into all of these links, copies and pastes it into an Excel spreadsheet, or who knows what, Word document, or whatever you want to use, it doesn't matter. Inevitably, there will be some mistakes, and it's going to take a ton of time to do this, right? And it's going to have errors in it too, right? Once you code up a solution and run it, everything's automated. Click the button, run it, and you'll have what you need. You can go get your lunch, go get a coffee or something. When you come back, it should be done or close to done. That's the wonderful world of automation, right? So this thing is chugging along. It'll probably take a little bit longer. Let me wait for one more page refresh just to illustrate the point here of what this thing's doing. It's doing a pretty big lift here. It's doing a ton of work for us. So that's pretty nice. Once we get all of this data, we can compare everything relative to the zip code where we're located. Again, I'm 11109. You would pick your own wherever you are, and then pick your medical procedure, right? Get all the price ranges for everything. You would have the entire encyclopedia, or entire universe, actually. It's even bigger than the encyclopedia. You'd have everything in one spot. So this is pretty nice for comprehensive searches. This is going to be completely exhaustive and holistic and have everything under the sun, right? So let me go back here to the code. We can go back to the Jupyter Notebook, scroll down a little bit and see what it's doing. It's still running through the code. I can see that when it's done, everything is going to be cleaned up, neatly organized, compacted into a well-structured data frame, and we are good to go. Okay, let me go back a little bit more. It took a little while to figure these things out, but once you get into the HTML and you know what to look for, a lot of the stuff is somewhat intuitive. It does take a little while to get familiar with and to get comfortable with this stuff. I won't lie to you about that. It does take a little while, but once you learn this, a whole new world of opportunity opens up, and you can screen scrape almost anything you can imagine, right? The web is a pretty dynamic place. There's lots and lots of useful data out there, and really the only limitation is your own imagination, right? Once you figure out how this stuff works, and you can see in my notes here, I have a lot of notes and a lot of details in the code. It's pretty self-explanatory. I will share all the code, so you don't have to take notes here. You don't have to understand every nuance, every detail of every line of code here. That is not the expectation at all. It's just to understand generally what's happening, and then take this code and run it for yourself. I will share all this code when I post a video. I'll post this Jupyter Notebook. I'll save it as an HTML file, and you can download that, double click it, and open it, and you'll see exactly what I see. You'll have everything that I'm looking at right here. Okay, so I will share all of that. When you get to the end of the process, when it finishes, everything is crisp, clean, nice and tight. Everything's cleaned up in this data frame. That's what it's going to look like, and it's still running. This could take a little while, so I'm going to skip ahead here. I ran this before. I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, and why am I doing all this? Basically, in January 2021, I had to go in for a hernia surgery, and it was pretty painful, both to my abdomen and to my wallet too. I did not know what the hernia surgery was going to cost. They didn't even tell me, even at the hospital before, or when I was released from the hospital. I got a bill from the hospital about a month after I was released, and it said I owe $50,000. I was blown away by that cost. I couldn't believe it. Fortunately, insurance paid for most of it. I think the out-of-pocket was closer to $1,500 or $1,600 maybe. So insurance covered most of it. Thank God for that. But $50,000. Like, come on, guys. Nobody said anything to me before. I just had no idea in the world it's going to cost $50K for this surgery. So I became very aware. I had a heightened sense of awareness of medical procedures and the cost behind these procedures. So that's my inspiration for creating this project, to screen scrape all this data and to understand where these hospitals are located, what the costs are for each hospital, and then make an informed, intelligent decision about where to go for your surgery. I just picked one and just went with it. I had no idea that's going to be $50K. Looking back, I would never do that again. But at the time, I simply did not know, right? So this gives you information. You're armed with data, with knowledge, with the ability to make an informed decision that's going to benefit you, right? Like, do you want to spend $50,000? Well, insurance hopefully will cover most of it, but not necessarily, right? If they don't handle your insurance or accept your insurance, right? If they don't acknowledge that, you could be paying $50,000, and some of these procedures are even more. You can go in for, I don't even know. I've heard of people paying $250,000, $300,000 to go to the hospital for emergency procedure, right? And sometimes the insurance covers it, sometimes it doesn't cover it, and even if it does, maybe it just covers a portion. I was very fortunate; it covered most of my expense. But what if you come up with a $50,000 bill or $100,000 bill? You're ruined, right? So to prevent all that from happening, you can go ahead and understand what these prices are, what the price ranges are, and then pick a hospital that has a decent price range for your budget, right? So let's scroll down here a little bit. We can see what the results are after we do all the screen scraping. Again, I think this process is still running. Let me just go back here. I bet it's still running. It takes a little while for this thing. And of course, my computer runs like molasses, so it takes even longer in this thing. Okay, and I'm guessing still running. Let's scroll up a little bit. What do we see here? Spine and neck. Okay. Oh, I think it's still running. I think it goes in alphabet order. So spine and neck sounds like we're getting into the S's of the alphabet, but it's still chugging along here. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So let's go on to the next one. Okay. So it's still got a ways to go. Okay. I'll just let this thing go. I think that's fine. So we've proved the point how to do screen scraping. You look for those HTML elements, clean it up, stuff everything into a data frame, and then it's nice, it's neat, it's tight, crisp, everything's cleaned up, and it's in columns and rows format, so it's very easy to look at too. Let me take you back just for a second here. I saw something very interesting, just to give you an idea of the scope of this. Yeah, so you have 23,000 records, 23,378 rows of medical procedure data in 4 columns, right? The 4 columns were what? Let me go up and see that again. 23,000. So that's pretty substantial. That is the universe of medical costs here. And I'm not going to screen scrape that manually, and you are not either, right? That's not the expectation here. But once you code up the solution and run it, everything is handled for you automatically. So that's pretty nice. So the 4 columns are procedure type, facility name, city, and price range, right? And we have 23,000 rows of data. So pretty substantial. Let the machine handle it, right? You don't want to do this yourself. So in the last part of the demo here, I am going to take all the latitude, longitude coordinates for every hospital. I know based on hospital name and Google Maps how to get the lat-long coordinates for each facility, each medical facility. Let me take you up there and show you the code that I put together. Okay, go up a little bit. Come on. This thing is really annoying how slow it runs. It's amazing it even works at all. Okay, and here we go with the scatter plot. So I do have the lat-long coordinates, but that didn't come from the website. So let me go up and just see. I haven't looked at this in a while. Where did that come from? I think that's Google Maps giving us this. Yeah, there it is. This is Google Maps. So you would need a Google Maps API key. Go ahead and get that API key and look at the Google documentation. Again, I'm going to share all this code with you, so you should have what you need. Based on the city name and the facility name, we can derive the latitude, longitude coordinates. So Google Maps is pretty powerful. I did a few videos about that and took you through the nuts and bolts and the ins and outs of Google Maps. It's a very serious tool. Most of these calls to the API are free unless you're just hammering that thing over and over. If you're using thousands and thousands of call requests, you're probably going to have to pay. But in this case, It actually gave me over 23,000 lat long coordinates for free. So I think it's pretty flexible. It's pretty generous in what they offer you. If you can get 23,000 lat long coordinates based on facility name and city, that's sufficient. I think it's all free, and that's good enough for me. So we have the lat long coordinates. I'm going to place this onto a Plotly scatter plot and a Folium map in the background. I like these a lot. I've got a couple videos about how to do that, and all the code is shared with you, so don't worry about all the details. You can copy and paste it, run this for yourself. So these are where all the hospitals are located. This is great. I want to go ahead and add a drop-down control onto the map so I can look for the procedure type. Okay, again, I would look at hernia surgery. That's what I had. But then this is brain MRI. Okay, so we can filter all the hospitals down just to the ones that provide the specific service that we're looking for. And then you mouse over it and the tooltip pops up. You see great. No, general, sorry, I can't read all of a sudden. Next generation radiology, great neck, and the price range 1,050 to 2,325. So you're taking 23,000 records, getting it down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to 7 that do this type of procedure. And now you have all the cost ranges. So that is super useful. All right, if I go down here a little bit more, I want the lowest price. I want to filter for the lowest price and plot that on the map and plot all the hospitals one color blue, and if it's the lowest price, I'm going to call that cheap, and I want that to be red. So that's highlighted and that stands out on the map. So Plotly has all the documentation. It looks a little bit intimidating, but honestly, like all you're doing is adding in lat long coordinates and then color markers for the cheap and for the expensive. The expensive are blue and the cheap is red. So here we have the cheapest hospital for brain MRI scans, and this is in Hooper Imaging, that's the name of it. Toms River, 925 to 2,000. So there you go. Took 23,000 records, got that down to one specific record to find the cheapest brain MRI hospital procedure for you, saving you a ton of money. Okay, so that is it. I am going to share all this code when I post the video, which will be later today. You have everything you need. Hopefully you learned a couple new things. I try to learn some new thing every day, at least one new thing every single day. Hopefully you can too. Thanks for your time. Thanks for hanging with me to the end of this. This was kind of a marathon. It took a while, but we got there and we got some pretty awesome results. So thanks again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.